She never thought the man who broke her heart would be the one signing her paycheck. Maria wipes the fog off her bus window, her reflection staring back like a stranger she's learning to forgive. It's 5:45 a.m., and the world outside is a blur of headlights and salt air. Her fingers are cracked from bleach and time, but her spirit refuses to fade. Today, she starts cleaning rooms in a seaside hotel, a job that barely pays enough to breathe, but it's something. She tells herself she's done with the past, done with love, done with ghosts. But fate, it seems, was just waiting for her to clock in. The moment she walks into the hotel lobby, she freezes. Behind the front desk, giving orders in that familiar voice, is him. The man she once loved so deeply she forgot who she was. The man who disappeared without goodbye. Her breath catches. His eyes lift. 12 years collapse in a single heartbeat. Maria forces herself to look away, pretending to study the floor tiles as the hotel manager approaches. She introduces Maria to her coworkers, and Maria nods politely, her voice caught somewhere between fear and disbelief. She's too proud to walk out and too desperate to stay unnoticed. Ethan, from across the lobby, keeps his composure, but his hands tighten around the pen he's holding. He remembers that silence, the night he left without a word. And now the weight of it sits in the air like storm clouds. Neither speaks, both pretending not to know. But the silence is louder than reunion. Elena, the head housekeeper, takes Maria under her wing, showing her where the supplies are, how to polish brass without leaving streaks. She talks kindly, unaware of the storm brewing behind Maria's eyes. Maria scrubs floors that smell faintly of lemon and salt, her thoughts replaying old laughter, old tears. In the hum of vacuum cleaners and the rhythm of footsteps, she almost convinces herself this is just another day. But every creak of a door feels like a heartbeat she once knew too well. At lunch, Maria sits alone in the staff cafeteria, her sandwich untouched. She hears laughter down the hall, that voice again, unmistakable. Her stomach twists. She wants to believe time has healed, that she's stronger now. But when Ethan's footsteps draw near, her world shrinks. He pauses at the doorway, watching her for just a moment, then walks past as if she were no one. That small cruelty burns deeper than any word. The day ends. Maria walks along the empty shoreline behind the hotel, shoes in hand, waves brushing her ankles. The sky turns amber, then violet. She thinks about her daughter waiting at home, about bills stacked on the counter, about the man who once promised forever. The sound of the ocean is the only thing steady enough to hold her tears. Somewhere behind her, a door opens. Quiet footsteps approach, hesitant. She doesn't turn. Not yet. Maria tries to lose herself in routine, scrubbing mirrors, folding linens, pretending not to feel his presence echo down every hallway. But fate doesn't let her hide for long. That afternoon, Elena assigns her to clean the executive suite. She walks in with her bucket and broom, only to find Ethan already there, inspecting the room. For a heartbeat, neither moves. The sound of the ocean through the open balcony door fills the silence. She wants to speak, to demand answers, but her throat closes. He steps aside, polite and distant, as if they were strangers. Yet, when she brushes past, their shoulders almost touch, and it's like touching fire through glass. Ethan tries to bury himself in paperwork, but every corner of the hotel reminds him of her. The scent of lemon polish. The sound of her laughter echoing in memory. He watches her from the balcony one evening, unnoticed, as she carries cleaning supplies across the courtyard. Time hasn't erased her grace. It's only deepened it. He realizes how much he took for granted and how cruel silence can be. He whispers to himself that he has no right to miss her. But the heart, stubborn as it is, doesn't listen to logic. A storm brews that night, waves crashing violently against the rocks beyond the hotel. Power flickers. Maria works late, finishing her tasks by flashlight. In the dim light of the hallway, she nearly bumps into Ethan, who's checking the generators. Their eyes meet. Closer this time, no escape. Rain drums on the roof, thunder rolling like the echo of unfinished words. For a long moment neither speaks. Then Ethan says her name softly, the first time in 12 years. Maria's breath stumbles. The lights go out completely. In the dark, they are just two souls caught between past and present. The power returns, and Maria walks away before he can say more. She hides in the supply room, her hands trembling as she grips a rag soaked in lemon cleaner. She hates that his voice still has power, that his presence still unsettles her. She tells herself she doesn't care, but her tears betray her. She wipes her face with the back of her wrist, furious at her own weakness. On the other side of the wall, Ethan stands motionless, knowing he's reopened wounds that never heal. The next morning, sunlight floods the hotel as if the night never happened. Staff chatter fills the corridors. Maria keeps her distance, burying herself in work, but fate has other plans. Elena pairs her with Ethan for the weekly room inspections. Neither objects, though both feel the weight of it. As they walk through each suite, their words stay polite, empty, and painfully careful. But beneath the small talk, something stirs. Resentment, longing, unfinished love. When their hands brush over a clipboard, Maria pulls back sharply. Ethan's eyes soften, regret flashing through them like lightning in clear skies. Maria can't escape the past anymore. Every sound, every scent, every echo inside the hotel pulls her backward. As she polishes a mirror in one of the suites, she sees not her reflection, but the girl she once was. She remembers laughter under streetlights, a song played just for her, promises whispered over shared dreams. The years have blurred the details, but not the feeling. It's strange how memory can be both a comfort and a wound, how love can survive even when you pretend it doesn't exist. She closes her eyes, whispering to herself that she's over him. But deep down, she knows she's lost. Flashback. The summer they fell in love. The air was thick with sea salt and possibility. Maria was still in college, working at a small cafe near the beach, her hands smelling of coffee and sugar. Ethan used to sit by the window every afternoon, guitar across his lap, pretending to read but really watching her. They talked about dreams, about leaving town, about building a life where no one told them who to be. For a while, it felt like the universe had written their names in the same sky. Back to the present. Ethan walks the hotel's empty corridors late at night, his footsteps echoing like ghosts. He pauses at the storage room where she cried the night before, guilt pressing against his chest. He remembers leaving, not because he stopped loving her, but because he thought disappearing was mercy. He had lost his father, owed debts he couldn't pay, and ran before his shame could touch her. But in saving her from his chaos, he destroyed what they could have been. Now, seeing her again, he realizes time hasn't softened the consequences. It's only made them heavier. Flashback. The night everything broke. Ethan arrived at Mariah's apartment drenched from the rain, his hands shaking. He told her he had to leave town for a while, that I'd come back. She begged for the truth, but he couldn't find the words. When he walked out, her knees gave out on the cold floor. He never called, never wrote. Only silence, the cruelest kind. Years later, she learned he'd started a company in the city. Now, as she wipes a hotel window, she wonders if he ever thought of her, or if she was just a chapter he closed and forgot. In the present, Maria finishes her shift and walks past Ethan's office. He's inside, talking to Elena, but stops mid-sentence when he notices her. Their eyes meet. This time, neither looks away. The past is right there between them, raw and unfinished. For a long, unbearable moment, they say nothing. Then she turns and leaves, her footsteps echoing down the hall. He watches her go, whispering her name under his breath like a prayer he's too late to say out loud. Saturday morning, sunlight spills through the small apartment window as Maria packs Sophia's lunch. Life feels heavier these days. The hotel, the tension, The ghost of love she keeps meeting in the hallways. Sophia hums a tune while drawing at the kitchen table, her laughter cutting through the stillness like a balm. Maria smiles despite herself. Children have a way of forgiving the world before it breaks them. When Sophia asks if she can visit the hotel after school to see where her mother works, Maria hesitates. But when she sees the excitement in her daughter's eyes, she nods. Maybe, she thinks, a little light could help her breathe again. Later that afternoon, Maria brings Sophia to the hotel. The staff instantly adore her, a burst of color in a place too polished to feel alive. Sophia runs through the lobby, giggling at her reflection in the marble floor. Ethan appears near the reception desk, watching with quiet amusement. He doesn't know who she is yet. When Sophia nearly trips over her own shoes, Ethan kneels to steady her. "Careful, little one," he says gently. The moment their eyes meet, something in him stirs. A strange, familiar warmth he can't name. Sophia spends the afternoon helping Elena fold napkins in the hotel dining room, chatting about school friends and her superhero mom. Ethan listens from the doorway, moved by the easy joy in her voice. Maria tries to keep her composure, but seeing Ethan laugh softly at Sophia's stories cracks something inside her. He's kind, the same kind he once was, the kind she wished her daughter could have known. For a brief second, Maria imagines what life might have looked like if things hadn't fallen apart. Then the thought hurts too much and she looks away. That evening, the hotel hosts a small community event by the sea terrace. Lanterns sway in the wind, laughter mixes with music, and Sophia dances barefoot on the deck, glowing in the amber light. Maria stands nearby, trying not to cry as she watches her daughter so free, so alive. Ethan approaches quietly, offering her a cup of coffee. They stand side by side. No words, only the sound of waves and Sophia's laughter. For the first time, the silence between them feels almost peaceful. It's not forgiveness yet, but it's the start of something gentler. When the night ends, Maria carries a sleepy Sophia to the car. Ethan follows, helping her open the door without saying a word. The air between them is filled with memories and unspoken truths as Sophia murmurs in her sleep, "I like him, Mama." Maria's throat tightens. Ethan stands under the streetlight, watching them drive away, the reflection of their taillights fading into the dark. For the first time in years, Maria doesn't just feel pain when she thinks of him, she feels possibility. And that terrifies her more than anything. The next morning, Maria arrives at work early, hoping to lose herself in silence. But silence has a way of making truth louder. Ethan waits near the lobby, pacing. He asks if they can talk privately. She almost says no, but something in his voice, a quiet ache, makes her stop. They walk out to the terrace overlooking the ocean. The wind smells of rain and regret. Ethan's eyes are steady, but his voice shakes as he says her name. "You deserve to know why I left." Maria's heart clenches, her hands trembling. For years, she wanted this moment. Now that it's here, she isn't sure she can survive it. He tells her everything. How his father's death left him buried in debt. How men came after him for money he didn't have. How he ran to protect her from the mess he'd inherited. He built the hotel years later from nothing, trying to fix the past with success. But success, he admits, never filled the emptiness. "I thought leaving would save you," he says quietly. "I didn't realize it would destroy us both." Maria listens, frozen between anger and heartbreak. The pain doesn't fade with the truth, but it begins to make sense. And somehow, that hurts even more. Maria walks away without a word. She heads straight to the service hallway, her heart pounding in her ears. For years, she imagined every cruel reason he might have left. Betrayal, boredom, indifference. But never love twisted into fear. She sinks against the wall, sliding down until she's sitting on the cold tile floor, shaking. Part of her wants to forgive. Another part wants to scream. Love doesn't erase abandonment, she thinks. It only makes it harder to hate. That evening, Ethan finds her on the beach. He doesn't come closer, just stands a few steps behind her, as if afraid to break what little strength she has left. The sky burns orange and violet. "You have every right to hate me," he says softly. "But I never stopped loving you." Maria doesn't turn around. Her voice is calm, but her words cut clean. "Love isn't what you feel when things are easy, Ethan. It's what you choose when they're not." She walks away before he can answer. Behind her, the tide keeps rolling in, relentless like truth itself. That night, Maria tucks Sophia into bed. Her daughter looks up sleepily and says, "Mama, that man from the hotel. He looked sad when we left." Maria's eyes fill before she can stop them. She strokes Sophia's hair and whispers, "Some people carry sadness because they once loved deeply." Sophia nods, drifting to sleep. Maria sits beside her, tears finally falling. For the first time, they aren't tears of anger, they're release. She doesn't know what forgiveness will look like, or if it's even possible. But somewhere inside, a small door has opened, and light, faint but real, begins to slip through. Days pass. The air between Maria and Ethan changes. Softer, but uncertain. She no longer avoids him, yet doesn't seek him either. There's something unspoken in every glance. When the hotel receives a surprise inspection from investors, chaos unfolds. A major pipe bursts in one of the guest rooms, flooding the corridor. Without hesitation, Ethan grabs a mop and joins the cleaning crew. Maria watches, startled. For the first time, he isn't the man giving orders. He's shoulder to shoulder with her, soaked and smiling, trying to save what they both built. It's messy, human, real, and it's the first time she believes he's truly changed. That night, after the crisis settles, Maria stands on the rooftop terrace staring at the stars. Ethan approaches, hesitant. He doesn't speak right away. Instead, he places a folded envelope on the railing, a letter. "You don't have to read it now," he says. "But it's the truth I couldn't say back then." She doesn't touch it, just looks at him. "Why now?" she asks. He smiles faintly. "Because I don't want to run from honesty anymore." For the first time, Maria doesn't walk away. She lets the silence exist between them without pain. Maybe honesty, after all, is a form of love. At home later, Maria opens the letter. Inside, Ethan's handwriting trembles across the page, an apology written not to erase the past, but to honor it. He writes about fear, regret, and the day he realized love isn't about protecting someone from pain. It's about standing in it with them. As she reads, tears fall silently onto the paper. For the first time, she feels the weight lift. Not because he's forgiven, but because she finally understands. Sometimes love doesn't die. It just waits for both hearts to grow brave enough to meet again. The next morning, Maria visits the beach before work. The sea is calm, the sky pale gold. She closes her eyes and breathes deeply. For the first time, not to escape the past, but to thank it. Ethan arrives moments later, walking slowly across the sand. They don't touch. They don't rush. She turns toward him, and the simple act of not walking away feels like forgiveness in its purest form. He smiles, small and real. She doesn't answer, but her eyes say everything. Some choices aren't loud. They're quiet, like a tide returning home. At the hotel later that day, Maria finds Sophia sitting on the lobby couch, drawing. "What are you making?" she asks. Sophia grins, holding up a picture. 3 figures holding hands under the sun. "Oos," she says proudly. Maria's heart catches. Ethan walks by and pauses when he sees it, emotion flickering across his face. Sophia waves him over, unaware of the weight between them. He kneels beside her, smiling softly. For a moment, Everything feels possible. Maybe love doesn't need to be rewritten. Maybe it just needs to be continued from a different chapter. Weeks pass and life settles into rhythm. Maria works her shifts with quiet confidence now. The air around her feels lighter, like something unshackled. She still remembers the pain, but it no longer owns her. Ethan doesn't rush anything. He shows up in small ways. A repaired vacuum, fresh flowers in the staff room, coffee left by her locker. He never asks for forgiveness. He earns it through presence. And Maria, without even realizing, begins to smile again. Healing, she learns, isn't a single moment. It's a series of gentle choices to keep breathing when it once hurt to. One afternoon, the hotel hosts a small charity event for local families. Maria organizes everything: decorations, food, music, while Sophia runs around helping guests. Ethan watches her move through the crowd with calm grace, pride written in his eyes. When he finally approaches, he simply says, "You've built something beautiful." Maria looks around, at the people laughing, at Sophia's joy, at the light filling the room, and nods. We both did. The words surprise her, but they feel right. For the first time, the past isn't a shadow. It's the foundation beneath something better. That evening, after everyone leaves, Maria steps outside to the terrace. The sea glows under moonlight, calm and endless. Ethan joins her quietly, holding 2 cups of tea. They stand shoulder to shoulder, no words needed. "Do you ever think we get second chances?" she asks softly. He looks at her, the corners of his eyes crinkling with emotion. "Maybe not second chances," he says. "Maybe just a chance to do it right this time." Maria exhales slowly, her heart at peace. Not everything broken stays broken. Some things return, softer, wiser, whole. Days later, Sophia waits outside the hotel after school, her backpack nearly as big as she is. Ethan offers her a ride home while Maria finishes her shift. As they drive along the coast, Sophia chatters about everything: school, friends, the ocean, and how her mom smiles more now. Ethan listens, smiling softly. When Maria opens the door to greet them, the sunset paints them all in gold. For the first time, this doesn't feel like a broken family. It feels like the beginning of one. Early one morning, before the world wakes, Maria stands on the beach. The horizon blushes pink and gold. Ethan walks beside her, carrying 2 cups of coffee. They don't talk about the past anymore, only about the future. She realizes that forgiveness isn't about forgetting what hurt. It's about remembering without pain. The sea hums softly, waves kissing their feet. Maria smiles, looking out at the rising sun. "I never thought peace could feel this quiet," she whispers. Ethan nods, watching her. Sometimes, love doesn't return with thunder. It comes back like dawn, slow and certain.